Hello YouTube, Team Gradelock here with another deck profile. We got Force of Will today, and we got John with his, what is it?
Musketeers. Even though it's a pussycat, you get the, but either way.
Alright.
Let's just start with the ruler, the being Puss in Boots. He works really good for the deck. Like any ruler, he has his J activate. His J activate is pay 9 neutral, which is a really heavy cost.
That's a big cost for a J activate.
But his J activate goes lower. His J activate goes lower with every musketeer out of the 3 musketeers that you have on the field. So let's say like
3 lower.
So I'm just gonna.
If you have all 3 on the field, it goes down to 0 basically.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
It's free.
Okay, that's cool.
And then his other ability, which works really good for the deck, any musketeer gets its cost lowered down by 1 neutral. So
that's pretty good.
So basically, any of your monsters that had 4 become 3, any of your monsters that had 3 become 2, and it synergizes really well with the other musketeers.
I know how this deck plays, considering our matchup.
But anyway, J activate to the other side is something. Dartargan, the Bayonetter.
Dartargan, the Bayonetter.
He's got 3.
Sorry for butchering this, people, but
sorry, words are hard. Anyway, he's got 3 abilities. I don't speak English, by the way. It's got 3 abilities. 1, it's got Pierce. If you attack your opponent directly and they try and block with a monster, then they take the difference between this guy's attack and their defenses.
Actually, the blocking it doesn't count when it's blocking. It counts when you're attacking into a monster. So let's say you're attacking a rested resonator. You attack into it, it will do the piercing damage. But if someone blocks it, they won't take the piercing damage.
Really, that's how it works?
Yes, that is the ruling I've seen on the internet, on the wiki, and from other players.
Which works well with his 10-8 stats.
It's good with his 10-8 stats, yeah.
Then it also has target attack, so any monsters that are on the field that are untapped, he can just swing at them freely.
And that also works with his Pierce ability, because it does also work off
and then because there's not enough synergizing with the musketeers.
Pierce only works if you're attacking the target resonator, basically.
Oh yeah, I saw that already.
Yeah, so if they have 2 on the field and you attack into 1 and they block it, then they're not going to take the piercing damage from the block. It's only if you attack the monster directly or you attack the opponent.
Yeah.
And then just because there's not enough synergy with musketeers,
use your words.
His other ability is the continuous one where every musketeer on the field gains +4/+4, making their stats insane.
Pretty good.
Honestly, so yes, the J ruler's off, and then we go on to the stones. We start off with 3 magic stone of cutting skies.
Well, that's 4. That's
4,
not 3.
Sorry.
Damn, dude.
I can't.
He's Canadian. You can't count at the same time.
Damn.
You can't.
Wow, that's hurtful coming from an Asian.
Yo.
That's fine. I have family in Canada too.
Start a boy, don't you? Anyway.
Either way, green light. There's a lot of light support in this. There's light support in this deck, but green is the main focus and center of this deck. So, but the light is good for it. But we'll get into the light cards later on,
Obviously.
And then 4 green black stones.
How many?
4.
Okay.
Did I say 3 again?
No.
Okay, good. I have terrible memory too.
Everything. So.
But either way, black. Black is also good because black is all about control. So it's nice to add control to control.
It's destruction.
And then Feet Sing, the true stone for green. Basically,
He knows his colors.
you can't. That's the only thing I know.
You guys are gonna be condescending to him all day. Just let him finish the video.
You can't. The only thing that's bad about running this card is that you can't get it off a Gretel because it's not.
It's not a green stone technically.
It's not a green stone technically.
Normal stone. That's what
It just produces green.
So 9 out of 10 times you gotta hope you don't hit this thing, but the times that you don't and it just goes in there, it's nice because by resting it, you get to produce 1 will of green, and then its other ability states that you
rest it itself.
You rest it
and
another green.
Another green.
And all of your J rulers or resonators can't be targeted by spells during that turn. They're not affected by it. And the other ability is just the true stone, where if there's more than 1 true stone, then the other you have to get rid of it until you only have 1 true stone.
Yep.
But this works because it's a free stone on the field that just protects you guys throughout the course of the game. It's really good. And then blue-green because it's there. We can confuse our opponents.
You don't play Boone here, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just there because it looks nice. I wish I could have Booty Cat, but I don't have.
So basically, it's just a card that looks pretty.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Deepwood looks pretty.
It's more targets for Bloody Moon. That's what it is.
Oh.
Well, if they really want to Bloody Moon this, then it's okay.
People get rid of that. They'd be afraid of those Cheshire Cats.
Oh,
those
man.
booties. Come on.
Didn't want that draw.
Moving on to the main deck, the Resonators. We're gonna move on to the Musketeers. 4 Athos, my favorite Resonator in the entire game. Basically, he's a 4-drop, but with Puss in Boots, it becomes a 3-drop.
Shows you avatar.
Yes. He's on my phone, my wallpaper, but I don't feel like reaching in my pocket right now. Basically, when he enters the board, you get to search your deck for any addition and put it into your hand. But if your ruler is Puss in Boots, which, hold on. Yes, it's Puss in Boots. You get to equip that addition automatically for free. So basically, for dropping a 3, you get to equip anything you want. And there's a lot of good additions in this deck that we'll go into later, but Athos does a lot for the deck, and he also synergizes with one other Resonator. So we're going to go into that later. Mainly he's a Musketeer that needs to be run. And then 4 Armis, the card that makes the deck have a lot of free stuff. Because basically, 3-drop, a 2-drop when you have Puss in Boots, when she enters, for every Musketeer that's on the field, when she enters, including herself, you get 1 free green will.
Okay.
So
that's just like, oh, I entered the board. That's another free thing. Oh, there's 2 of me. Okay, cool. Oh, there's an Athos. That's 2. Oh, we're just gonna fill the board with Musketeers.
So
So
we're
we're
gonna
a lot of floating mana. It's cool.
all the free mana to pay for everything that you need. You gotta hold them off. And then the lone Musketeer, Porthos, which we don't run 4 of, we only have 1, because he's not so good. He doesn't.
He's okay.
He's okay. He doesn't do much for the deck, but I had to cut him because there's other room options. But basically, he's a 7/4 with Pierce, and we described Pierce before. But what makes him so lackluster is because he's a 4. He could easily be attacked over. Sorry.
Thunder.
Oh yeah, and Thunder.
Or those Cinderella sneakers. He could put on some shoes and just croak.
He doesn't like shoes.
He doesn't like shoes?
No.
He doesn't like women's shoes.
It doesn't fit. That's why there's only one. Anyway, then we move on to the others. The card that kind of makes the deck sort of amazing.
Better
Tin
than all the
Man.
Musketeers in my opinion.
But Tin Man is one of the wizards. Basically, when he's on the field and there's an addition played or an addition field, he gets it on my field because Cinderella Slippers kills it. If you do it, okay, that's fine. But basically, he gets an achievement counter when you play an addition or a field on your field, and for every achievement counter he has, he gets +3/+3. And he will get beefier and beefier considering playing multiple Athoses, and there's a lot of equipments in this deck that could synergize really well with him. Main point of this deck is to try and keep him and Athos alive and then go in for kill with another card.
Keynote though, it's whenever an addition resonator is added. So if you have an addition resonator that revives itself, if you happen to run Joker Suit, you just keep putting them on weak monsters and you could keep re-equipping addition resonators, it gets the bonus for it.
And then we move on. Then we move on to good green card. Elvish Priest. He's the best card to play turn 1. Coincide. Oh yeah, Tin Man's 1 cost. So these are mainly the good cards to play turn 1. But what makes Elvish Priest really good is that when you play him turn 1, his ability is that whenever you want, you can produce 1 green, so he can pay as the cost for your greens, and there's a lot of good first beginning turn plays when you call Elvish Priest out first turn. Like if you call Elvish Priest, you already had 1 Magic Stone with you, and then next turn you play another Magic Stone, you can automatically pay 3 for Athos. You get Athos out on turn 2, so that makes it really good. He does a lot for the deck. And then 3 Gretel, because we gotta cut out on things.
Cool. Oh, you're so salty when you get the feet thing off of her.
A little bit. Especially when I only run 3, that's the sad part. But
I'm surprised you only have 3.
oh no, I have 4.
Oh.
I had to cut out for other cards.
Damn.
So, but 3 Gretel, you'll still draw into it.
Then $3 uncommon.
And between this and these, this is one of the best first beginning turn plays you can do with the Elvish Priest and the Gretel. So That's what makes Go pretty good. 2-drop that that gives you a free green magic stone if you have a green magic stone on top of your magic stone deck. Then the 2 blacks. The reason that we run black is Pumpkin Witch. What makes Pumpkin Witch really good is that considering this deck is a swarm deck that you have to play multiple monsters on the field, she's a 1 black will with 2 any other stone. When she enters the board, each resonator on your field gains flying, so it can't be blocked, and swiftness, so it can attack the turn it's played.
That's like a final turn card right there.
And considering if you keep on powering up your your Tin Man throughout most of the course of the game, you can make sure its attack goes through safely with the Pumpkin Witch and put in the work from there. And then now we move on to spells. Best spell of green, in my opinion, is the Zeke's. Yep. Zeke's has 4 abilities. It's a lot of abilities. Basically, the first one is that, and it's an instant, so you can pay 2 to cancel a target summon spell. So you can, whenever your opponent summons a monster, you can pay 2 to kill it. So you can stop the Cinderella before it gets out of hand.
Or you kill them Mephistopheles.
Or even better, kill the Rise. You don't want to see him.
Stop the summon of that guy.
The other one is that you can pay 2 and then you can target one of your guys and it can't be targeted by spells or abilities for the rest of the turn.
Including your own cards.
And the other part of it, all your resonators gain +2/+2. So if your opponent already has a Cinderella, you can make them waste more cards by playing this and then powering up your guys, so they have to kill another card to kill your board anyways. And you could use it to power up when you go off with the turns of plays of Pumpkin Witch, just to make sure that all the resonators deal the damage that they need to. And then the other part is that you can pay 2 to put all magic stones from the grave back to the magic stone deck. You don't use that a lot because it doesn't happen a lot, but it's there if you need it. It's mostly there for canceling the summon spell. But that's what makes it good. It stops things before they get out of hand, or when they do get out of hand. It's like, nah. Through Cake Zone, because Law of Silence is a bitch.
End of story.
And Thunders.
Well, there's a lot of other stuff you would negate with that. Come on.
Law of Silence, Thunders, Stoning to Death, Stupid Slippers.
66% of the card base of the game. Normal spells when played. Basically, spell cards and additions are considered normal spells when being played. Once again, for those of you who are novice at the game, but yes, it stops 66% of the cards out there.
And this is the main core. This is the main core of negations, though. The Zeeks and the Cake Zone. Negating spells and negating summons is really good, and considering their cheap costs of 2, it makes it really good for the rest of the deck.
Yep.
And then you move on to the splashings of the other colors. You play Stoning to Death. You don't. It's the 2-drop to kill 1 resonator. It's an instant, so you can do it your opponent's turn. I don't max out on it because this deck isn't dark based, so you don't want to clog these up in your hand if you don't want to draw these in early if you don't have the stones for it. So it's not good to run too many of it, but it's good because it's removal for free, because this deck can't deal with deep ones if it's summoned before you can Zeeks it. And then you play Breath of God for more negation. Basically, it's a light and 1 neutral. You can basically the target J resonator that you target J ruler or resonator that you choose can't be targeted by spells or abilities until the end of the turn, and then you get to draw a card. Basically, it's a better Zeeks. You get to draw a card off of it.
Draw that card. Draw that card.
So it makes it really good, and it's also one of the reasons that's the lights in here. But we're getting to the core of the deck, in my opinion, which is the additions. The addition field. Realm of Evolution.
Only 2.
Only 2 because this deck is really tight on space. Considering that the Musketeers, you gotta run a lot of 4-ofs. It's really hard to make space for it. So I had to settle on 2 realms. But basically, Realm of Evolutions is a field. It goes into a different spot. It doesn't go on top of a monster. It's a 1 green and 1 neutral, and all fairy tales you control on the field will gain +2/+2.
Okay.
This doesn't only specify to resonators, so your J ruler will become 12-10, making it actually beat Abdul, because Abdul is annoying.
Abdul kills it back though.
Abdul freaking hurts this deck a lot. And then its other ability, which is the reason that I don't need to run Silver Bullet. Basically, it's an activate, so whenever you want, pay 1 green and banish the card from the field, and you may search your deck for any fairy tale and add it to your hand. Most of this deck is fairy tales. Tin Mans are fairy tales. Athoses are fairy tales. Armises are fairy tales, and
Porthos is a fairy tale.
all of the deck is basically a fairy tale. I wish this card was a fairy tale. That would make the deck so much better.
That'd be scary.
But it's there to fix up your hand if you ever want to go for your plays, but you don't have them. Like if you don't never draw your Athos, at least you can search it out with the Realm. And if you have the Athos and the Armis, but you don't have the Porthos because you only play one, search out the Porthos, because the 3 Musketeers need to be together.
And then Puss in Boots has to come out there. Antonio Banderas.
So this Realm of Evolution is a 2-of, and that's it. And then for the actual additions, the ones that
go on to resonators,
that Athos can search, 2 Crucifix, only 2.
Only 2.
Searchable.
And basically, Crucifix states that it's a pay 2 cost of green. If it's on a vampire, that resonator loses 1,000. So basically, it's gonna die. But if it's not a vampire, like if it's on Athos, then the card can't be targeted by spells or abilities the opponent controls. So basically, that card's gonna sit on the field for most of the game
until someone kills it.
So
that thing.
So
get that
equipping this thing to the Tin Man, very scary.
Yep.
The Tin Man with the Crucifix is scary in itself, but the combo card of the deck that works very well with Tin Man is the Silver Stake. Basically, it's a 1 light neutral.
Not as OP as we thought.
It's a 1 light, excuse me, it's a 1 light. And continuous is that the resonator with it cannot attack or block if it's a vampire, so more vampire hate. But otherwise, it gains +4/+4, and it cannot be targeted by spells or abilities or dealt damage by vampires. It doesn't do the same thing where it doesn't stop spells and abilities with the Crucifix, but it does stop the abilities of the vampires that are on it.
He originally thought it did stop those spells and abilities.
It was the way it was worded.
It's honestly worded weirdly, but the actual thing is basically vampire decks can't touch the thing that it's attached to, unless they get rid of the stake.
So basically, this card you would want to search out with Athos if you already have the Crucifix but you don't have the stake, because of its other ability, which is pay one light and you put it back in your hand. So basically, if you have 2 light stones throughout the rest of the game, you can keep bouncing it back and bouncing it back onto the Tin Man and have him gain power throughout the course of the game.
Or if someone were to kill your monster with a stake on board, you could activate the stake, you put it back in your hand, and then the monster will just die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just keep taking that off and attaching it.
Which is why you only need 2, because it can save itself from destruction. But that is the rest of the deck. The Musketeers is the best green deck as I see it right now, and it's probably the deck I'm going to stick with for the longest time. Longest time. Yeah, but that's it. The Musketeers, the 3 of them, the Triforce, and Puss in Boots.
Alright.
If I can slip it over. There we go.
This is Team Gradelock signing out.